Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. This is a personal message from myself, Olinga Taeed, and you yourself. And it's a kind of direct interaction I'm looking for. And I want your feedback, if I may ask. So, you know, I've titled this interaction, "What We're Going to Do with Our Problem Child, Blockchain." Because, unlike our other siblings or other children that we have, like the fourth industrial revolution, 5G, and Internet of Things, and AI, blockchain has not yet brought any fruitful outcomes that have been mainstreamed in the world. Despite being going 12 years now, it has yet to provide one single application which has caught the world's imagination. Beyond what some would call Bitcoin, but honestly, it's a very small impact on the world, and it's in terms of financial visibility, it's like a rounding error in the finance world. So it is very little traction. And we've been at this now some time, right? So as loving parents, we should see what we can do for Bitcoin to grow up and to mature and to take its rightful place in the world, which it hasn't so far, and we have to accept this. So we've been reflecting. I run a think tank, quite a large think tank, called the Center for Citizenship, Enterprise and Governance. We're about 170,000 strong, and we focus on the measurement of value, on the transaction of value using blockchain, and on the delivery of value projects on scale, large scale. And we have been looking at what are these barriers that have stopped blockchain from becoming an adopted technology in the world. And because this intrigues us, it frustrates us, like yourself, I'm sure. You're wondering why. Okay, I know Bitcoin has gone up fourfold and over fourfold, in fact. But it's a discussion. Bitcoin is a discussion internal to the crypto community. It is not used outside. There is no single application other than the dark web stuff. If you're sex trafficking or drugs or ransomware, etc. Or Bitcoin has great uses, or tax avoidance, etc. But in terms of mainstream global life, it has no place yet, and yet it should. So we've identified 7 things we think are important. You may identify more. You may identify, in fact, we've misdiagnosed the situation, and I would be grateful for your input on this. Okay, in no particular order, we started with the question, what if there was no blockchain, and what if there was no Bitcoin? And the fact is, nothing would change. It has not made the impact in the world that without it, unlike the internet, without the internet, the world would be a different place. Blockchain has not made that impact in the world. And so, without these technologies and Bitcoin, the world will just carry on. It has great legacy systems. It will continue, and none the wiser. So I guess the first thing we thought should be some kind of trade body, and a trade body. There is not even a trade body between the exchanges. There are literally, there are almost thousands of exchanges, and most of them are scams and joke and rip-offs, and then there's some big ones like Binance, and they're managing something around $30 billion of funds. And these guys, these major exchanges don't even have a trade body between themselves that actually represents their industry. And it's very difficult, to set standards when there is no trade body. All these other industries, 5G has it, Uh, uh, so why don't we have one? So let's, I would advocate that we should form a trade body between the exchanges in particular, who are great large scale organizations, to set some standards in the industry, to set some self-regulation within the industry, because any serious industry does that, self-regulates, but we don't. So that's our first wish on our list. The second thing is that, at the moment, blockchain and crypto is looked upon mainly as a replacement for money. And despite the early days when we talked about it exchanging world in a social context, um, Tapscott and Clissralson and many others talked about it being the single instrument that will change the world in social context. It hasn't done so at all. It has had very little impact, in fact, in that sphere. And the reality is, a block of value, is not. We talk about a block of value being a block of hard digital financial often assets, tangible assets. But actually, a block of value is two things, isn't it? It's both financial and non-financial, and it there should be a soft, intangible asset transaction that blockchain should manage. And there are some applications, not many, in this area. But why is it important? And the importance is the things that are touching our lives right now. Climate change, blockchain's got almost nothing to say. Black Lives Matter, blockchain's got nothing to say. Politics, America, China, etc. Blockchain's got nothing. International trade, these pandemic, the COVID-19. We are not relevant to the things that are concerning society. And so the second thing we want to promote is, a industry body that is focused on large social change, because that's what the world needs, that's the world wants. And saying, oh, by the way, look at Bitcoin price. I mean, who cares, really? I mean, look at, if you're dying from a pandemic, who cares what the Bitcoin price is? So, I think that's our second point on our agenda. The third is, and I touched on it, is that there is, of course, a complete lack of standards. Blockchains are not interoperable. It's not like TCP/IP. There have been some great initiatives like Hyperledger, etc., in attempting to bring standards to unified standards into this industry. But I guess it's the problem of having a decentralized belief, and that these organized that somehow decentralized equals let's not cooperate, and it means that we don't have a common thread throughout this industry. That may well be okay, but let's formulate those standards, even if they are diverse. Let's put some structure together, and so there should be a standards body, as they are in other industries. You could not do a phone call if there wasn't the standards between all the carriers, etc. The fourth, perhaps of less importance, but it adds credibility, frankly, is we have a lack of serious academic support for this area. And what academic support does is not so much the output, frankly. I'm speaking as an academic myself. And because academia is pedestrian in its outlook, it's more about the fact that it adds credibility, because academia is non-partisan, non-agenda, neutral, and it gives a good overall safe pair of hands to guide this industry into the future. And so we want to form, there are many universities that are working in the sector, but they're not united. They're all working into different things. So it's a consortium of universities throughout the world that come together to form guidance in this sector. And look how valuable academia has been in the pandemic. This leads us to the fact there is no single voice in the industry. There's some great publications, great blogs, blah blah blah, but we don't have a voice when the FCA or SEC says something about crypto. There's no single response. There is no one body that goes, we represent the blockchain and crypto industry, and this is our response onto news media, etc. As any respectable mainstream technology has. And so, we need to create a voice. We've thought of a journal for within our industry, for the industry, by the industry, where we actually represent our own voice internally, and then we can also have a communications on the outside world. The penultimate is that we need to develop a pilot area, an area where we can experiment, like a large-scale pilot. And we have a couple of major city applications. If you look at some of the cities in the Middle East are developing, like Neom. Neom is a $500 billion investment to form a new city of only 1 million people in Saudi. And here they're looking for new paradigms of society, where money isn't the only key indicator, where structures and justice and equalities, everything are quite different. And so, so our Dubai too, is a new city which has new paradigms. And we should be within these places. So it's a whole blockchain city where we can experiment on scale. We can try things and let it fail. We should be part of large pilots which allow us to actually test our ideas. And then finally, I guess one thing definitely lacking is our lack of partnership with large corporations, institutions. We do it on individual scale, little bits here, little bits there, but not as an industry as a whole. So because blockchain and crypto are largely anti-authority, decentralization, anti-the man technologies, it means that we do not easily fit in with banks and central banks and their digital currencies that they want to develop. They should be coming to us as a whole, as an industry. We should be safeguarding these solutions for them. Everyone knows that, Bitcoin, frankly, there's about 6 people who have such large whales of Bitcoin that, they can influence the price. Why would a central bank want to use that? They will develop their own. And then we eschew these large institutions. Like when Facebook Libra came out, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad technology. The fact is, it was a large-scale initiative. And so instead of embracing it, what we did was we rejected it internationally. So a partnership program where this infrastructure body that we want to set up actually can partner the Amazon coin or the Facebook coin or the digital currencies in China and in UK and Switzerland, etc., where they come to us and we can guide and help and learn ourselves, but they can also learn from our experience. So overall, what I'm advocating is that we form a senior infrastructure group. And it's not for any single party agenda, but it's a infrastructure group to provide the ecosystem for blockchain and cryptocurrencies to grow in value, to grow as a sector, and to mature and grow up. Because our problem child, blockchain, it may just die on the vine and never get there. It's our responsibility to do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I am Olinga Taeed. Take care.